my friend Jill Mcguire, who is part of Wild Idea Buffalo Company, is here in Chicago, and we've had a wonderful time the last couple of days. Jill is connected to our friend Dan O'Brien, and they have this buffalo company called Wild Idea that is basically committed to bringing back the buffalo and introducing and bringing this wonderful meat to the people. And Jill, we're so glad to have you here today.
Thanks a lot.
One of the things that I remember most was from Dan's book, Buffalo for the Broken Heart, which led me to meet you. After I read the book, I went out and checked you all out and got to chase the buffalo who escaped. And that's all recorded on the mini disc. Someday we'll turn it into an album or something. But Dan talked about that buffalo, as they trample the earth, bring back more grasses, more small prey, more birds, more small prey. You know, it's good for the environment. And there's a commitment to bringing back the prairie. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on at Wild Idea Buffalo today? I know the business sucks you in, but there's a lot of ideals. Share some information with us.
All right, let's see. In addition to our little small herd of 300 bison that we have roaming on currently 20,000 acres of your national grasslands, we hold a 4-month permit to graze the buffalo on the Buffalo Gap National Grasslands. We actually had to get a permit for the native species of the land to have grazing rights on the Buffalo Gap National Grasslands. So we accomplished that. Otherwise, they roam around on the ranch. Our Native American friends came to us and they said, we love what you're doing. At the time, we were doing a field harvest. We don't cause any stress or trauma to the bison. We move them gently, doing a grazing rotation throughout pastures. There are no antibiotics. There are no hormones. They strictly eat grass only. And we were doing, as I said, a field harvest where the animal was put down in a field under inspection, bled, and then taken to a plant for further processing. And so, again, the Native friends came to us and they said, we love what you're doing. This is just great. This is very important to us for many reasons, and for them spiritually as they hold the bison in high regard. And Dan and I both felt very committed to wanting to help them, and we could not do a field harvest because they simply lived too far out from a plant, and we had a very tight timeline in which we can work with. So a long story short, we heard of a gentleman who had this movable unit in the San Juan Islands. And, you know, Washington State could be the poster child for sustainability. They just do incredible things up there. So we went and we checked this out. And here on this little boutique farm comes this ginormous semi. And the rancher farmer brought in his animals from the pasture. And in this instance, it was pigs. And I had never been around pigs very much. And realizing how smart and entertaining and curious they were, I was making mention of this to the farmer, and he said, do you notice anything else? And I said, no. And he said, they don't smell. And I'm like, oh my God, they don't smell. So they were meant to graze pastures as well. And so this truck, they do the inoculation, and then the skinning and the eviscerating, and then the animal carcass goes into a cooling unit. So we thought this was very, very cool. And we said, can you build one for bison? And the guy said, I think we can. And so with a very generous donor, Dan and some other Native American ranchers, like-minded ranchers that believe that the bison should roam freely and only eat grass, formed a coalition called Sustainable Harvest Alliance. And now we are harvesting buffalo on the reservations for the Native Americans. I always get kind of choked up about this. Excuse me. But it's like so cool. It is so, so cool. And so they now have a way to make their products saleable. And we, Wild Idea Buffalo Company, we buy a lot of their animals, as many as we can, based on demand. And, you know, we ask for your support. The best way you can support your grasslands, and by the way, there's only like this much left of your grasslands, is by demanding grass-fed only meat products. I don't care whether it's buffalo or beef or pork or what have you, but demand grass-fed only. It's the only way we're really going to make a difference to that almighty plow that's plowing up the prairie for corn and soybean and that kind of thing.
Fuel.
Fuel.